Tonight on the Locked On Texans Squad show, some of us may be taking some sort of a victory lap against somebody else on this show.
What's going on, Squad Show fam? Missed y'all on Sunday. I told you the Texans was going to win. There was nothing to worry about. Just like I told you they were going to get back in the postseason. Lo and behold, they may even host a home playoff game. We'll talk some more about the path to get there.
Did Stan just say we? He's speaking French now? I don't know about that.
Yeehaw! It's time for the Texans Squad. Everything Houston Texans, every week. Bringing you the big hits, game-changing plays, and all the action straight from the Lone Star State. The way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. Saddle up and squad up. It's the Texans Squad show, starting now.
There we go. Welcome into the Locked On Texans Squad show on a Wednesday evening. I'm Michael Connor. There is John Hickman and Stan Norfleet. We're with you tonight. If you're live with us, breaking down this past week for the Texans, and of course looking ahead to the weekend against the Arizona Cardinals, as this is a football team, guys, for the first time in 2025 when we are doing this show. This team is a playoff team at the moment in the AFC. It feels good after that just downright awful start to the season, 0-3. They have climbed out of that hole at 8-5 now, and they are set up for at least a double-digit win season on paper. When you look at the next two opponents, the question is how far can they go into that? So you guys did not have the opportunity to get to it the other night, John and Stan. I'm going to just kind of let you guys have at your thoughts on that win over the Chiefs and how big that was for this football team, how big that was for the AFC picture, and where does this thing go from here, Stan?
Well, as I told you guys that Tuesday or Wednesday leading into the game, I said that the Texans would go up there and win because I was worried about Kansas City having 3 starting offensive linemen out. And the way that game went and just the defensive attitude and the philosophy, the execution, even in the frigid conditions there in Arrowhead Stadium, it was a masterpiece by and large. Now, we'll talk some more about that third quarter because there are some things on both sides of the ball for us to parse through. But the Texans this year are exercising some demons. Granted, Lamar wasn't playing for the Ravens, but they go to get off the snide in the D'Amico era with Baltimore. You do the same thing here with Kansas City, previously 0-2, D'Amico versus Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. So they have checked the list, winners 8 of the last 10 and 5 in a row. Everybody, all the national pundits, I'm listening to the shows, I'm reading stuff. Nobody wants to play the Houston Texans right now. It's the same formula. It's that defense. That defense is pacing to be one of the best we've seen in some last 25, 30 years, going back to some of those Ravens defenses, some of those Spagnuolo Giants defenses. I think the 2002 Bucks are in that contention as well. So there are several others, but it's on the way to be a historic type of defense, and they rode that wave. It's been enough. And I thought that if you can harass Patrick Mahomes, you make any quarterback uncomfortable, they're going to turn the ball over. They were able to capitalize on those moments. We'll highlight some guys here in just a little bit. I don't want to take all the air out of the room, but I do want to say, and we'll get into this as we get later into the Cardinals preview, the Texans, who currently sit in the 7th spot, right now they would have to go on the road to New England, a team they smacked by 20 in Drake May's first career start in the 2024 season up at their place. But I think the road to get back to where we want to be is not just winning the division, but if you don't do that, winning these next 2 games and then winning that game against the Chargers, that would seal all of the tiebreakers for the Texans with everybody that's around them. Why is that important? That would put the Texans in the 6th seed. The 6th seed would go to Jacksonville. I'd much rather this team go to Jacksonville for a playoff game than to have to go up to New England in the wild card round.
John?
What a magical season for Houston. And I think that win Sunday that finally put them in the 7th seed after, they won 4 in a row. The FC had done them any favors. It seemed like when they started winning, everybody else started to start winning. Jacksonville wanted to start winning. The Chargers, stacking wins. And so for them to beat Kansas City Sunday, it does a couple of things for me, guys. that essentially kind of sealed the fate for Kansas City almost, right? And if Kansas City ain't in the playoffs, it don't look like Baltimore is going to make the playoffs for two Cincinnati, but specifically those two teams, two monkeys that's been on the Texans' back, whether it's been postseason or just in the season altogether. They ain't got to worry about them. And they dominated them in certain aspects of the game against Baltimore offensively, but we're not talking about Baltimore, but defensively, Kansas City had no answer to what the Houston Texans were doing. First time in a long time we didn't see Patrick Mahomes throw a touchdown against Houston. As a matter of fact, coming into the game, I think he had 15 total touchdowns compared to 3 interceptions between postseason and regular season games against Houston. And they completely took him out of the game. Now, Patrick Mahomes ain't been Mahomes within the last year, some change. But
he was in the Super Bowl last year.
In the Super Bowl, but regular season, but more so this year. Stan, I remember you said it. They hadn't done it yet, so I picked Houston to beat Kansas City.
Even though I did.
but in that game, it just felt like the moments where you would expect Pat Mahomes to show up and beat Mahomes and have that magic, it never happened. And the
can I jump in right there where you at? With Mahomes, I think they're now 0-4 or 0-5, Kansas City, when Mahomes is the leading rusher. They made Kansas City one-dimensional, and the moment that, and I know we all going to talk about it, but the moment that the tone was set when Jalen Petrie knocks the you-know-what out of Rashee Rice, the tone was set, and the ball game, at least the offensive piece from the Kansas City Chiefs was about done.
Changed. The physicality of the game that the Houston Texans brought, I think, completely just sucked the life out of Arrowhead of that offense. And they never was able to bring the physicality back to them. As a matter of fact, the only player that really stood out to me for Kansas City, and he almost won them the game in that third quarter, was just the ferocious job Chris Jones, did. And Houston has
Chris Jones was outstanding.
Yeah, they have a problem against elite D tackles. But I say all that to say this: for Houston to beat them, and for Houston to almost seal Kansas City's fate of them not making the playoffs, that's a double win for the Texans. You don't got to worry about them postseason, and you finally get that dub over a team that's held you back in some capacity. And listen, on my show this week, my solo show, I called CJ Stroud a game manager for 2025. That's what he's been. And he managed the game enough for Houston to get them a lead. Go look at their fourth quarter. What happened in that fourth quarter? 14 run calls compared to 4 passing calls. Obviously, they felt like they just needed 3 points. And they played it that way, even on the Darray rushing touchdown. Darray was in the game to run the ball. It was just get us 3 points. And they did that. And Stroud has the ability and talent to just be that Russell Wilson version of this Legion of Doom, whatever you want to call it. So I thought that game was, from a physical football standpoint, I thought it was beautiful. I loved it. And it's hard, again, like I said before, it's hard to bet against DeMeco Ryans in this defense.
I think you bring up a great – go ahead, Stan.
No, I'm sorry. I just want to touch on CJ quickly if we could, since John brought him up.
That's where I was going, so go ahead.
Stephanie, though, CJ Stroud and this offense, DeMeco has conceded with this defense. Once they get a lead, he wants to take the air out of the ball. They've decided that it is too risky to put the ball in harm's way and get behind. So you would think if you had this type of defense, you would continue to be aggressive because the defense can bail you out. But they just decided, we've seen it too many games now, that they're not going to ask CJ, no risk it, no biscuit. That's just not how they want to play.
The score was tied 10-10 going into the fourth quarter.
My boy, CJ Stroud completed 3 balls in the second half. Yeah. How many games are you winning in the postseason or going up against quality competition when any starting quarterback in this league is completing 3 balls and your 1A running back is out the game? Remember, Nick Chubb left the game with ribs. He had 1 carry. So you out there with Woody marks on that foot that has been banged up all week in that cold weather out there with Darray. So I'm like, bro, if there was ever a moment that CJ Stroud should be throwing the ball a little bit, and I know it's chilly nighttime there in Arrowhead, I thought maybe they could have opened things up and dinked the dunk a little bit. Now, the Texans, They did work, but they didn't score. The defense gave up 10 points in the third quarter, and Patty Mahomes was about that close, but this defense does it again.
They do it again.
Do it again. And to the point of the offense in that third quarter, guys, I don't know about you guys. I watched it and said, I just didn't love, and I think it's been a trend. We've talked about it. First and third quarter this year, this team stinks offensively. They're just not good. And they came out of the half, I actually liked their game plan coming out in the first quarter. Like, they got some yards early and they made
the
some
bogus illegal shift call.
Yeah.
That was a beautiful play call. I thought the first half of Houston was some good football.
But the play calling in the third to me was just weird. It was too predictable. And you knew that Kansas City was going to come out more ferocious in that second half. I didn't like what they did in the beginning of the second half. I'm assuming you guys didn't as well.
Yeah, I'm going to ask y'all a question. I mean, first year in this system, third year in the league, but first year in this system, we've watched quarterbacks progress mentally, and by no means is this a shot towards CJ Stroud's mental preparation, because I do think he can eventually get there. Sometimes it takes a while, but knowing that Spags was going to send the amount of people that he has consistently done all year at a high level, at no time, stop me if I'm wrong, did you guys see or hear a hard count? Did you guys see or hear an attempt at audibling into a different play to combat that third down or that second down blitz? Those are some of the things that I've been waiting to see from CJ Stroud, and I think those key changes can help this offense get over the hump. On top of, you just can't miss Xavier Hutchinson on 3rd and 10 when he's wide open in the middle of the field with room to run. You can't miss Christian Kirk, who was wide open. Kirk ain't going to give you a lot of those moments, right? And at this point of his career, you can't miss those type of throws and plays that need to be had. The Kirk was in the third quarter. The Hutchinson was in the third quarter. And as a result of CJ Stroud not completing those two passes, I think that's why we got the type of fourth quarter that we saw.
The time is coming, though, where Nick Caley is going to have to be at his best when his best is required. And personally, when we start getting ready to forecast what's going to happen Sunday afternoon in NRG with the Arizona Cardinals coming here, not a good football team. Yes, this is the NFL. Yes, they do have a few players that make plays, but they're not one of the more talented and clearly not one of the better performing teams in the league. What I would like to see the next 2 weeks as we put the finishing touches on Kansas City.
Say it with me, please, because I think we're going to be on the
I
same
would
page,
really like this offense. You want to, when you get ready to play the Chargers at their place with potentially the 6th seed on the line, or who knows, maybe be the 7th seed on the line, the final playoff spot in the AFC, you want that offense to be humming. One of these days, that defense is not going to be able to bail you out, and they're going to have to get some artillery. Give me some air cover, and don't just send those guys out there like that time after time after time. Take these next week. Let's fine-tune this defense, get some guys healthy, and let's offensively, they won't be where that defense is, but let's offensively play the best ball of the season those next 2 weeks. I want to add one other thing before y'all comment. I do want to give the Houston Texans credit, for one observation. When you look at those teams that are hovering around, Baltimore and Buffalo and Kansas City, the Texans by far are playing a tougher schedule. By my count, at least the analytics that I ran, the Texans have the 4th toughest strength of schedule in all of pro football this year. Now, it started off rocky, and many of us, include me, wrote them all for dead that they would not be able to climb back in the end. But they've been able to sustain. We know it's led by that defense, but offense can really help them boys out. And this is what I expect from Nick Caley. The red zone hadn't gotten much better. They're still one of the bottom teams in the red zone. And so those are the things that we all know could come back to haunt you in a playoff game. So that's where my head is.
I think that's probably where we're all at this point based off the way that the offense has performed. We got a lot more to get into with that offense and, of course, where this team is at in the AFC. And I have to ask you guys about what is going on in this division because some lunacy is going on inside of it. And I know we got to talk about that a little bit as we continue here on the Locked On Texans Squad Show. There's no reason to let big wireless drain your wallet, especially during the holidays. Right now, Mint Mobile is running their best deal of the year. All of their unlimited plans are 50% off. That means you can 6 or even 12 months of unlimited premium wireless for just $15 a month. It's the easiest way to take your overpriced phone bill and, give it the full Scrooge treatment. And what makes it even better is how simple Mint makes the switch. No contracts, no nonsense, just real savings, real quality service. Switching to Mint lets you keep your same phone number, your same coverage for a lower price. Setup takes only a few minutes. You can bring your own phone in and number without any issues. Turn your expensive wireless present into a huge wireless savings future by switching to Mint. Shop Mint Mobile unlimited plans at mintmobile.com/lockedonnfl. That's mintmobile.com/lockedonnfl. Limited time offer, upfront payment of $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12 months. Plan required, $15 per month equivalent. Taxes and fees, initial plan term only. Greater than 35 gigabytes may slow when network is busy. Capable device required. Speed and coverage varies. See mintmobile.com. The Houston Texans are a playoff team right now, and they're creeping towards the top of the AFC South if they get some help from others when it comes to the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Jacksonville hot right now.
Losing some game. They are hot right now. The team that's not hot in the division right now, I'm Michael Connor. It's John Hickman and Stan Norfleet here with you. The team that's not hot right now is the Indianapolis Colts, and I just wanted to bring it up real quick because, guys, they are in the news. All right, so I asked the question, how far – we did this the other night when we ended the show in the middle of last week. John, I think you asked the question. AFC title game or not? For this football team, if they, are able to beat the Chiefs. And I was like, yes, AFC title game. But just, how far is this team going to go now? They've passed up Indianapolis. They're still going to play them. And, oh, by the way, the Colts have brought a 44-year-old out of retirement to play football for them at the quarterback position.
We got to look at elder abuse in this country, right? We got that's a real problem. And we need to go to our local ballots. We need to go to we go to the mayors. We can't have elder abuse in this country. And when they play the Colts the second go around, if Phillip Rivers' 44-year-old ass is out there, it's gonna be some abuse going on that field.
Careful, Joe Flacco got him in the regular season in 2023.
And what happened in the playoffs?
I'm just saying, we said the regular season. I'm just reminding the people that in 2023, he got him.
When was the last time Phillip Rivers took snaps in the NFL?
It's been 4 years. Yeah, 4 or 5. It's going
to be tough on Philly. But to the question, okay, where can this Texan defense go? Like, where can the team go all together? I witnessed the Giants make them after how their season started in 2007. And they won it in 2008. And they did that behind what? The NASCAR, the front four. It was just Strahan, OC, Tuck, and they was getting after boys.
Congratulations, Houston native Michael Strahan just got elected to the College Football Hall of Fame too. I wanted to add that. Shout out TSU, Third World U.
Tigers.
Yeah, you see it. Yeah, Tiger Walk. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Go ahead, John. I just wanted to get that in there.
But no, thank you for that. I cannot bet against this defense. I can't bet against DeMeco Ryans and this defense. And I wholeheartedly believe what makes Houston in this part of the season and where they're going now, Stroud can get you 20 points. That offense can get you 20 points. The defense is good enough to hold a team to 17, to 13. I know we want to see more, Stan. I've been wanting to see more all year. But the fact remains, and it could change because Stroud got to go in against San Fran. San Fran defense and Arizona's defense is kind of in similar places right now. So he can get a groove, and that groove, he can build on that groove. But I really believe the first team to 20 can win, and Houston has been the first team to 20 a lot during this streak, and that defense has been holding teams off. So I'm on record saying I believe they can make the run, guys. I believe they can make the run. I want to see CJ Stroud versus Denver again if that possibly happens, because I wholeheartedly believed Stroud was going to cook Denver. He started that game cooking Denver. He just got hurt, and I think the game plan changed.
Can he cook him on the road? That's the question.
My prayer right now, seriously, I've been praying to the football gods. Give me an AFC championship game with two teams. Up north, New England, down here in Houston. That would be an amazing game for me personally, but I truly believe the defense can carry them to the Super Bowl.
I don't believe the defense by themselves can take them to the Super Bowl. You got to go back quite a ways. I think I count 11 seasons since the Legion of Boom by a team that was defensive-led that did not have Brady and Belichick going up against somebody else in the Super Bowl. So I'm not saying – now anything can happen.
Was the Broncos team after that? They had Noodle Arm Manning at that point?
Yeah, that's the 2013 or 15.
Some people are trying to say it was Noodle Arm Manning. And that defense, and going up against that, and you know that defense had they had traded for DeMarcus Ware. They bring him over, and of course they had Von Miller on the other side, very similar to what the Texans are doing with Daniil Hunter and Will Anderson Jr. The other thing that I would add, why it's not just the defense, and it's not casting an aspersions on them. It's not saying that they themselves aren't good enough, but when you talk about those Giants teams back then. When you talk about the Legion of Boom and that defense, they could also run the football, as could that Broncos team that Peyton Manning was a part of. The Texans have a rushing the football problem, and that is going to be intensified and highlighted by not having Nick Chubb. Woody Marks is already banged up, and we're getting ready to get into this is the part right here where some people start saying the rookie wall is your body condition. Can you withstand? Now, Woody had, 26 carries? On Sunday night, and that is admirable, especially given that he's dealing with that angle. But the thing that is, and again, it's not about the defense. The defense is pretty good enough to put them in an AFC title game situation. But will they get any complementation, if I can use that term, by the run games, by the offense, but specifically the run game? And you remember, CJ Stroud has missed 5 games due to concussion the last 3 seasons. Is CJ going to be willing to put his body on the line and go get those critical first downs? Or if they start doing, not that they will, but if they start doing some quarterback runs in the low red area and things like that, how does his health factor into what's going on? So it's the ability to run the football for me. Marshawn Lynch with that Legion of Boom, and you know what they had cooking there. When I think about those Giants teams, when they had Bradshaw and Big Jacobs coming down the pipe. It was a physicality on the offensive line as well as in that backfield to complement the defense.
I think that
Frank Z, we don't deal with almost beat Frank Z. Come on.
I think I'm with John here. This team, and I think it gets a lot of it too. I don't have any respect almost for anybody in the AFC at this point. And is that wrong to say?
That's why it's more intriguing, because even with Denver being the number 1 seed in the AFC,
like Bo Nix does nothing for me. Does absolutely nothing.
He's won 11 games, including beating the Texans in NRG. So we have to let's be football fair. You're going to fan out MC, but let's be football fair. Let's be football fair. And listen, I love what Akeem Saleeb said on that Skip Bayless new show with whatever streaming service. I like the show was at, but I love what Akeem Saleeb said. He said the bottom line is when the game was on the line, the Broncos defense outplayed the Texans defense in the 4th quarter, and Bo Nix made a play that CJ Stroud did not. Now, maybe CJ can get the better of him the second time around, but y'all know I'm going to be hard, but I'm going to be fair. The Broncos have proven that they have been the better team, and I'm not going to stop there. When you look at the other division, we've seen this team against Tampa, against Seattle. So I ask you, how many of the teams have the Texans beaten that are playing really good ball at the time the Texans played them? I'll give them San Fran, although San Fran didn't have their bodies. Who else am I missing? Jacksonville the second time, and Buffalo.
Indy.
Indy was
I will
flipping
say
and flopping around a little bit.
KC was 2-1 in their last 3 games. I think Indy was 2-1 in their last 3 games.
KC, is not playing like KC. It's a good win. I'm not taking anything. Anytime you got Pat Mahomes, Andy Reid, Kelsey, they had all their receivers. I'm not taking anything away. But what I'm saying, and on the road in the weather, I'm just saying, we saw them against those other teams and primarily in the other division or in the other conference. I'm sorry. The other conference, when we seen them go up against them, it was early in the season. I would love to see them go up against a former foe. I just don't want them to have to go to New England or go to Denver. Denver's probably going to get the bye. I would like to see them go to Jacksonville. You talking about a wild card game in Jacksonville, a team that we know, a team we've had success against. You go ahead and smack them, and then you look at how anything could fall. Possibly the Texans could host a game in the second round. Now you got a division game at home.
Here's where I think we all can agree on. That's why we need CJ Stroud to be better, right? That's why we need Nick Caley to be better. And the best year, especially during this stretch, when do they come, guys? Second quarter. The second quarter, where they score a little bit more points. They're a little bit better in the fourth quarter, but we also look at the amount of times the defense is giving them the ball back to have those opportunities. Nick Caley has to, like when they drew up their tight end, the touchdown of Dalton Schultz was called back for the illegal shift. They need more of that. They need those guys to be consistently good. First quarter, they only scored 3 points per game. Third quarter, they only scored 3 points per game. This offense is completely different when they're not able to run the ball. They have trouble with elite D tackles. I understand that. That's why my call to action is for sure for CJ Stroud to just be better. Lift this offense in some way possible. Because in a couple
I don't know that the offense is going to let him do that.
In a couple of years, he's going to expect – the expectation is $60 million.
And he's going to want that this year. He wants that now.
But when it kicks in, the expectation will be $60 million per year. But we're not at 20 touchdowns on the year. Okay, you missed a few games. But the offense, even with you in the red zone, struggles. How much is that on Stroud? How much is that on Caley? I think it goes hand in hand. But they got to elevate themselves enough. If this team can catch a groove, right? If this ends up being the San Francisco game all over again, where it felt like the offense looked good and CJ Stroud goes out there and throw for 300 plus, and they're moving with efficiency, and then they follow up against not a Denver team, but a Raiders team, and now he's building on that, then maybe we can look at the team all together a little bit differently. But it's still hard for me to bet against that defense right now because in the last 3 weeks, they held the number one offense to 16 points, 19 points. They held Buffalo to 19 points. They held Kansas City to 10 points. That's why I'm so encouraged. And I'm able to say, yeah, I think this defense can take them to at least a championship game.
I think that's where I'm at too. I mean, I'm not okay. Yeah, Homer Michael's going to come out. They're going to the championship game this year. Finally happening. I'm saying it. And I do have a question for you guys based off of that and what is ahead for them in the schedule. I do want to flip that, and we'll kind of keep this going here in just a second. The Locked On Texans Squad show. Before we get to that question, though, NFL Sundays move fast. One big play and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you place your bets as the action unfolds. Every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. Live betting is best when the game starts to shift, a receiver gets hot, a defense tightens up, or the momentum flips after a turnover. FanDuel lets you jump into the moment, whether it's live spreads and money lines that adjust instantly, player props that update as players heat up. You can bet the next touchdown scores, drive results, totals, and more. It keeps you locked into every snap, every drive, every possibility. And look, if you're looking to make it interesting with the Texans this weekend, they are favorites over the Cardinals. So if you like them, go for it. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you. Squad show continuing. Michael Connor, Stan Norfleet, and John Hickman with you. Guys, we're talking about where this team is at, where they're going, and I've said it earlier tonight, and just how far we think they can make it. You feel like they've got the double-digit wins on a platter for them now, given who they have the next 2 weeks. It would be an upset if they did not win the next 2 games. Now, they have to go out and do that. They have to execute, not play down to the level of bad football teams, but at home, they should win these football games. We all know that. What if, I want to play the what if game here. What if they win the next 4? What's your tune if they win the next 4?
They're going to host a home playoff game as division champions.
That'll be 9 in a row.
It's not crazy, right?
I know it's not. The Texans are the hottest team in the NFL.
If they, this one, it's. I think it's their top 3 between themselves, Denver, and New England.
Who else has won 5 in a row?
New England ain't lost in 2 months. Denver ain't lost in 2 months. I don't think. But I think if this is a victory December, that's what I've been calling it. If they don't lose all December, I think
New England's won 10 in a row, by the way, and Denver has won 10 in a row.
Yeah, so
I stand corrected.
But I don't think neither one of those teams are like the national media are in love with Houston right now because of their defense. But if they go 9 in a row,
the strength of schedule from those other teams. New England's playing a 4-play schedule.
Well, if they go 9 in a row, I think D'Amico would have to be co-coach of the year with Mike Vrabel. And like Stan said, they're hosting the home game at the NRG Stadium by winning the AFC South.
Yeah, listen. I like what you just said, John, and I'm going to double down on that. If D'Amico Ryans and these Texans end this season on a 9-game win streak, having started 0-3, not only make the playoffs, which the last team to do it were the Texans in 2018. We remember when that was a thing when they were 0-3. Not just make the playoffs, but come back and win a division with a top 5 strength of schedule or whatever it is, even if it's top 10.
And a bottom offense.
And the offense that's giving you nothing, D'Amico Ryan should win head coach of the year. And that's no disrespect to what Mike Vrabel is doing up there. He's an excellent football coach as well. It's no disrespect to what Sean Payton is doing with Bo Nix. If the Texans win the division and they're hosting a playoff game where I think they can beat anybody in the league in NRG in that first round, then you got to pack it up and go on the road. And the thing that makes this team a little bit different, sometimes it's just getting over the mental hurdles as an athlete. You've already gone into Baltimore and won. You've already gone into Kansas City and won this same season. Yeah, you remember the Seattles and the Rams, and you remember those. But you've already gone on the road and played excellent football. There's no reason the Colts. There's no reason that you shouldn't think in the postseason with a winner-take-home situation that they should be able to do that. So they are in position to control their own destiny based on defense. Just keep doing what you do. Now, D'Amico's going to keep his thumb on them because he can't allow them to get complacent. The defense has to stay in rhythm, too. The defense also, let us hope, Lord, that they remain healthy. But C.J. Stroud, especially if he wants to cash in, y'all remember what Flacco used to do for the Ravens? Flacco would just be coasting.
Get hot at the right time.
And got his money. Yeah. So C.J. wants
the Giants run. Eli got hot at the right time.
Got hot at the right time. Yep.
It's just like any other sport. I mean, whoever gets hot at the right time in the playoffs, man, sometimes you can ride that momentum. I can tell you this, and back to my thing on the, if they win the next 4. If they win the next 3, I'll guarantee they're going to win the next 4. Could you imagine what they're going to do to a 44-year-old Phillip Rivers last week of the season?
Yeah.
Could you imagine this defense chasing a guy who's been at home doing God knows what for the last 5 years?
He's been coaching.
So here's the deal. Shane Steichen was with Phillip Rivers when he was with the Chargers. They have been communicating the entire time. Phillip Rivers, who's coaching his son, who's supposed to be a badass in his own right, well, I think it's the 3rd oldest child.
Gunnar Williams.
Yeah, like he's a 5-star, like everybody wants the kid. Cool. Phillip Rivers has implemented Shane Steichen's offense for the team that he's coaching in high school. My point is, this is not the traditional I'm 40, like Joe Flacco. Oh. This is not I'm 40 and I'm coming off the couch. This is a little bit different. Do I think Phillip has something left in the tank?
Couldn't move at 39.
No, I don't. Now, here's the thing we got to start thinking about. Suppose the Texans do win the next 3 games. Yeah. That means they were on the tiebreakers versus Buffalo, Baltimore, Kansas City, right? And the Chargers, if they were to win that game, right? So then you must ask yourself, if that's the case, and somehow the division has already been locked up. Does D'Amico choose to let some of his defensive starters chill out week 18 home game NRG versus the Colts? Does he treat that like a pseudo preseason game, and then perhaps the Colts win game by default because D'Amico starts calling the dogs off? We won't know until we get there. It's just a thought that I'm having.
Play the first half, get you a lead, and let some of the reserve guys. I mean, I don't think Houston can afford, because, like I said, I don't think any of these teams are going to help them out.
Jacksonville's the one. The Colts
they got
done.
a week
to me,
schedule
it's
to close
Jacksonville.
out the year.
Jacksonville's only got one game left that you look at and you go, okay, they should probably lose for sure. That's what the Broncos game, because they play the Jets and the Colts and the Titans and their other ones.
And the Jags, I remind the people listening that Jacksonville is currently sitting number 1 in the division. So they're still, I think it's a game ahead of where the Texans are. So they can still get got. Jacksonville 2 games ahead of the Texans. Good Lord, Jacksonville has 11 wins. Liam Cohen. Okay. We'll see.
Jacksonville's got 9.
What am I looking
They're
at?
game ahead. Are you looking at New England? New England's got 11. New England's got 11.
Sorry.
Denver's
Yeah.
got 11.
No. It looks funky on my phone. How I have it look. Yes, I'm sorry. So that's why I said a game ahead. Yes. So it's still right there for them. We won't know what that week 18 looks like. By the way, I don't know if we said that. Maybe we said it off air. That Chargers game week 17 was announced this afternoon, has been flexed to Saturday doubleheader, the Saturday coming off Christmas.
You know, the NFL, they want to do everything they can to win every bit of ratings that they can. So we'll get the treat of doing this show on a Saturday instead of, watching college football already. There's got to be just crappy bowl games at that point, which Stan, by the way, sorry for your
oh man,
your UVA
and Notre Dame
team.
is so whack. I just want to throw it out there.
My Cavaliers made it to the title game again, same as we did in 2019, and in my hometown of Charlotte, they came up short. But the program's going in the right direction. Looks like Chandler is back. So not that the people watching this give a bleep about that, but it makes me feel better.
You can come join me on the Red Raider train for the
congratulations to your crew.
Yeah, first round
money well spent.
Yeah,
sure.
money well spent
Absolutely.
for sure. Just like the Texans have spent some right money. I did want to ask you guys based off, because John, you said this earlier with the if they played New England in the playoffs, if they ended up in that matchup. What does all this do? Because we had a lot of back and forth early in the season about one man specifically that came from New England. What does all this do for your thoughts on Nick Caserio now that this football team is playing like this?
Move on.
Still?
Yeah.
But
you know what I want to add to that really quick? Maybe some of the moves that Nick Caserio made were just late. Like, I wonder what Kenyon Green's career could have been like if he came into the league with Cole Popovich as his head guy. So things like that, but I would still move on from Nick Caserio. I would. With that being said, even with the offensive struggles, on the contrary, I would still move forward with Nick Caley. I don't think Houston can afford another OC, but I would still move on from Nick Caserio.
Stan?
I don't think Cal and Hannah McNair have the gumption or the gall, especially if this team wins the division. I think this will be the first time in Texans history they win the division 3 consecutive years. They win this division 3 years in a row, especially how it started. When you look out there on the field, Nick Caserio is going to say, wait a minute, I went and got Jake Andrews. I went and got Trent Brown. I went and got Ed Ingram. So we finally settled on this offensive line, but it was guys I went and got. He's also going to say, look how good Woody Marks is playing. I went and found him too. How many people knew who Nico Collins was? I took him in the 3rd round, my guy. I re-signed Dalton Schultz when everybody said he was washed up, and now he may be on his way to the Pro Bowl. Caserio, I don't think the McNair family would be willing to pull the trigger on Caserio. I think when you consider C.J. Stroud's future and how this offensive line projects, I don't think you can count on Trent Brown coming back and playing right tackle for you. Blake Fisher, I know they've been working him in there on the jumbo package. Is he your right tackle of the future? They tried it to start this year. Maybe another season under his belt, and he becomes the guy next year. I'm with John. I would lean towards moving on from Caserio. Now, personally, Nick Caley, I've seen enough. You got C.J. Stroud, Nico Collins, all them young receivers y'all like, Christian Kirk, who I told y'all wasn't it, and then Woody Marks has developed. Now, you're doing this without Joe Mixon, and we got to remember that. But I have not seen enough from Nick Caley that I would want him back next year as my offensive coordinator, and that's if they win a division and a playoff game or two. I just don't see it.
I'm with you guys.
I think the circumstances there is just tough. I think the circumstances are just tough. Year 4 for CJ, another like a third offensive coordinator. That'll be just tough. I think that's just you're hurting your quarterback more than you're helping your quarterback. He's hurt.
He's hurt going out there with that porous O-line every week. Not the O-line, the offensive performance. CJ. Okay, we used to do this. Remember we did this whole thing in the offseason? I got to sit up on my chair. You know we did this whole thing this offseason? This list came out. Is C.J. Stroud a top 10 quarterback? Is he not? Some people felt some type of way. The three of us settled on C.J. Stroud 2024 was not a top 10 NFL quarterback. It's 2025, and he's not top 10 again this year. How? With a man with that much physical ability, with a man that has that much football pedigree and acumen, how can you have Nico Collins, Dalton Schultz, these young boys y'all like? How can you go up there and not score, especially in the red area? No, I didn't, Frank Z. Oh, yeah, I did. I'm sorry, Frank Z. I was about to start yelling. So, to me, I look at Nick Caley and
unfortunate penalties.
This is probably the most layups we've seen CJ miss in his 3 years in Houston. He has not been as crispy. He has been good in moments, but he has not been as crispy. And I get it. Y'all are saying can't. I told you politically, the football world would laugh at DeMeco Ryans if he were to change. You fired your man, Bobby Slowick, your friend. You fired him to bring in this guy, and then you're going to murk that guy the very next year after y'all make the postseason. DeMeco, he knows the politics. His agent, I don't know if Jimmy Sexton represents him or somebody else, but the politics of the NFL is going to prevent Nick Caley from being murked. Maybe I'll be proven to be wrong. Would I stay in Norfleet if I was making what Callahan are making? Nick Caley, I appreciate what you're doing. I do wish you very well. I'll be a reference for you in your next gig. But you can't be out there with C.J. Stroud, and this is the offense.
You want to get crazy? You want to get crazy?
You be what, Stan? What you
I'll be a character reference. Tell them to call me. I'll answer the phone for you.
I'll throw you a scenario here. Texans go to the Super Bowl. Nick Caley's getting head coaching interviews.
Not a chance in
Matt Burke.
Yes, he is.
No,
I bet you there will be 8 to 10 openings. He will get interviews if they go to the Super Bowl. He absolutely will.
I'll give you the
Bobby Slowick got head coaching interviews after 1 year and one playoff win.
I will give you the list of coaches in Houston that will get interviews over Nick Caley. Matt Burke, Dino Vasso, Rod Wright. Those three for sure. I can't think of the
I think you probably went a little aggressive right there, Hickman, but I understand your point.
But what I'm saying is
a little aggressive there.
Well, no, I think at least at the
right D-line coach.
Wright could get some. He can move around if he wants.
Vasso coaches DBs, right?
He coaches the cornerbacks, and he's been in Houston for at least since Derek Stingley got here, and he's been one of my favorite coaches since arrival. I think all three of those coaches will be over Caley in some capacity, whether it's the NFL.
Can we just acknowledge there's a problem when your quarterback is a franchise quarterback? We've seen demonstrated performance from this man. And then he gets with you, and he's playing the worst ball of his career, offensively, obviously. Worst ball of his career under your watch. It's the offense, and I hadn't done the numbers, John, so some of your guys are going to probably crush me if I'm wrong. I'm going off the top of my head here. I'll have the work ready. I'll have the homework done at some point this week. Are they performing worse points per game, third down, red zone? Is it worse than it was with Bobby Slowick last year? I think it is. I think the numbers are all below what they were last year.
CJ's
number. I think it's been a combination of both Caley and Stroud, though. We're seeing way too many missed throws. How many games this year have we seen some just kind of head scratches or just foot shooter penalties from the offense that's negated touchdowns?
Oh, the penalties have been an issue since DeMeco showed up. He hadn't fixed that yet.
So
and that's not being hard on. That's just being honest. That's what the tape tells us.
So I think it's been a combination of both. if we're gonna call him a franchise quarterback, we do. I believe he is. I don't think this version of CJ Stroud will be the end all be all.
Who's going to get the best out of CJ Stroud?
But
That's what D'Amico's got to ask himself.
That's tough because I think we watched the glory days of quarterbacks make plays before we even acknowledge offensive coordinators. We'll just see Big Ben make a play, Rodgers make a play, Brady make a play. Manning, pick one when they got hot, make a play. Rivers make a play. We're talking about
except for Phillip Rivers, yeah.
Those are all franchise quarterbacks. And franchise quarterbacks, the definition of what a franchise quarterback is or looks like shouldn't change as the game evolves. Patrick Mahomes make a play. He got to make these plays, Stan. And I go back to the Kansas City game because that's the immediate one, but I can go all the way back to the Detroit game. If he doesn't lay the pass up to Tank Dell, who's wide open in the end zone, if he darts it, Texans win their game after their defense gets 5 interceptions. If you hit Christian Kirk while he's running, we don't get down to the fourth quarter waiting on the defense to make a play because you got the extended lead. Moments like those, I don't put that on the offensive coordinator. I put that on the man delivering the pass.
That's a fair observation from that standpoint, but the offensive coordinator had a series of ineptitude that led up to that point. So they go hand in hand, right? We do this. Was it Josh McDaniels and Belichick, or was it Brady? We got our answer when he got to Tampa, right? It was the dude. We talk about aliens. Y'all know that's my word. I hadn't said it in a while. CJ Stroud in 2023 played like an alien, and it was like he didn't know what he didn't know. He's just out here throwing this thing up to Nico and Tank Dell, and they just balling out, having a great time. But we haven't seen that from him consistently, and somebody has to tell me why. I understand that's not the design of the offense. Yes, John, you are correct that there have been some missed throws. He has not quite been as precise, but there's also a reason why. What is he being taught to look at where now as opposed to when Bobby Sloat was teaching him and Gerard Johnson? It's been the same quarterback coach the whole time. So what is he being taught to look at versus what he was previously being taught to look at? Bo Nix is playing like that because he's with Sean Payton. We've seen quarterbacks go. Caleb Wilson hadn't played like that until Ben Johnson showed up. You know when guys go get with the right signal caller, it changes things. So I think that the organization has to take a look at that, but they won't.
Ooh, that's tough. You're muted, MC.
I just said, you better hope that the Texans just win the Super Bowl and Nick Caley gets a head coaching job somewhere else. We got to get to our final segment, and we will discuss this weekend against the Cardinals here in a moment on the Locked On Texans Squad Show. All right, Locked On Texans Squad Show for a few more minutes. Michael Connor, Stan Norfleet, John Hickman. Guys, there's a football game to play this weekend. The Arizona Cardinals are coming to town. Jacoby Brissett, I think the plainest uniforms in the league. I was thinking about that the other day. I saw them they were playing the Rams, and I'm like, they have the plain. It's just a red jersey, and it just says Arizona on it. There's nothing else to it and some numbers.
They do have the like the Oregon, the eggshell whites. They bring those out sometime. Those are pretty sweet, where you can see the little dots of red paint, and it's a whole Western thing. It's pretty dope.
Their helmets are just plain too, with white and yeah. Well, they're bringing their plain selves over here to Houston, and the Texans are large favorites in it, as they should be. We've seen this story before this season where they've played teams that are bad. Tennessee, obviously, is the number one team that stands out. For the most part, this team has not struggled against them. Now, the second Tennessee game wasn't as easy, of course, with Davis Mills playing quarterback, but that is what it is. But what does this team have to do this weekend to keep from playing down to that level of competition? John,
are we expecting Woody Marks to play? It's been like 7 weeks in a row. He's leaving the game early with an injury, but he's coming back. He's a tough SOB.
He has to.
Football. Yeah, he has to come back, right?
They can't start Dare.
They signed Cody Schrader
Saw that.
Practice squad. Mizzou kid. The one thing I'm looking forward to from this game, and I think it's a great matchup for Houston, is to settle in and get back to running the ball at an effective rate. Not on their own merit, but the lack thereof from the Cardinals. They allow 4.5 yards per carry. Was it 140 a game on the ground? And when this offense run the ball well, it's a completely different offense. They move with a different efficiency. So I'm not saying Houston going to rush for 140. Though they have this year, it's been as running back by committee, where you'll see Nick Chubb get his 40. You'll see Marks get his 60.
No Nick Chubb at practice today, by the way.
No Nick Chubb at practice. I don't think he may play. You'll see Stroud get his 30 on the ground. But if they can run the ball at an effective rate, then I think that's going to open up the offense. And if that does, they get down in the red zone, that's two different elements that team will have to worry about. Excuse me. Just running the ball well in the play action game, which that has helped Houston out a lot this year.
I mean, the Texans really just have to go out there and play Texans football. At a certain point, when you start, and that's likely what D'Amico is going to tell the team. I know today was the first day of practice, so I didn't hear his comments post-game at the time that we're doing this show live. But I presume D'Amico has told this team, it is not about anybody else. It's about us. There is a standard that the Houston Texans are going to swarm on defense. There's an offensive philosophy. There's a way we're going to be physical in the run game at point of attack, even though that has been an area of concentration and conversation all year. They got to go play the best version of Texans football, and whatever that means. So Petrie, go do your thing, and Will Anderson and Daniil, go do your thing, and there's Aziz flying around, and Lassen and Bullock, y'all go do what y'all do. Sting is going to be Sting. We know he's going to show up and play each and every week. This offensive line of the Cardinals is a bit banged up as well. I think it's already been determined that Paris Johnson, their first round left tackle out of Ohio State, ironically, I believe he is out. So here, the Texans have had some very good fortune. Tristan Wirfs was out. Even though the Texans lost that game, they didn't have to go up against Tristan Wirfs when he was with Tampa. We know what just happened with Kansas City a few weeks ago. I don't think Ronnie Stanley played at Baltimore, if I'm going off the top of my head. So they've had some really good fortune to go up against teams that don't have their frontline starters, if you will. Nonetheless, this Arizona team, I expect that defense to be scrappy. I think they started to drop the rope as of late. I mean, when you go look at their schedule, they were in some ball games early. They won their first two games versus the Saints and Carolina, but they lose at San Francisco by 1, lose to Seattle by 3, lose to the Tennessee Titans by 1, lose at Indianapolis by 4, lose versus Green Bay by 4. I mean, they've been hanging around in there one-score games for a while now. As of late, last week versus the Rams, they got shellacked 45-7. But the week before that at Tampa, they lost by 3. This is a feisty bunch. And this is one of them classic, if you let this bunch hang around and give them some confidence in there, you'll find yourself in a dogfight, and then the ball bounces or a ball hits the upright or somebody fumbles the football. Like, the Texans can't put themselves in position to have misfortune. That defense should fly around and choke these Cardinals out off the top. CJ and that offense should start using this to get in rhythm and ride this in the next week.
I want to see, John, you brought it up earlier. I think the running game, guys, what do you think about how scared are you of this running game if they aren't, like, let's just say the Nick Chubb thing is, lingers and it's something that's a problem the rest of the year. This is scary when they don't have him around, right? After what we saw the other night, like, they weren't particularly, I know that they had some good runs late, but the overall numbers were not particularly good running the football.
You know what it takes us back to? Remember that conversation before the trade deadline? What the Houston Texans should do? And we all thought, well, if they beat this team, I think, was it Denver was a team we waited to see if they beat Denver, they should make a move. But they didn't beat Denver, and they didn't make a move. But then they go on this 5-game win streak. Kind of takes us back to that moment. Of course, in hindsight, but if they would have made a move to just boost this running back room, maybe we wouldn't have this type of fear right now. But
which is wild. Like Breece Hall for a 3rd-round pick. And it was probably, for me, it was a little bit expensive. I thought it was expensive. A 3rd for Breece Hall, and I got
3rd-round picks.
Do they have multiple 3s or multiple 4s? I
can't remember. Multiple 2s. Shout out to your boy, Laramie Tunsil, over there on that sorry Washington team. Houston got a very good high 2nd-round pick.
They have 2 2s, 1 3, 2 4s.
2 4s.
So with 2 2s, that would have made me consider using that 3. Yeah, if I already had it, if that's true that's what he was going for. And the thing that was odd about not making a move at that running back spot, they were still trying to sell us that Joe Mixon might be back around.
Yeah.
Because that's what this team is missing. This team is missing a runner that can go make it happen.
Yeah.
And they had that last year.
Guys, Stan. Joe is right, and right there, they missing that young boy. They missing that Cougar, man.
Oh,
Tank. That Florida boy. They missing that Florida boy.
Yeah.
So I agree with you on that one.
Sidebar, I have been thinking about this. I was watching the game, and I put this in my notes. Let's fast forward to next year. Nico, Higgins, who am I trying to say? The other one, 14. And what do they do with Tank? I mean, he's on the roster. I presume they'll bring him back. So I hope he can be a version of himself. But does Tank not take away from those other ones? Because you remember when Tank was in it bad, young fella was getting busy. It just makes me think about next year's offense. That's it.
I mean, Tank in the slot.
But that's where Nolan's supposed to go.
And I'll say this.
Did they draft him for that? I mean, I know that they did, but
than he is an inside receiver.
Say that again.
I think he's a better outside receiver than inside receiver.
I agree with that.
I think moving forward, because of his injury history, I would rather keep him outside and away from inside as much as possible. But that's a great problem to have if I'm Houston. And I would also say this. I think it would be smart for Houston to invest in the draft, in a wide receiver again in the draft.
I'd go get me another one. I absolutely would, for sure. I'd go get me one more young one.
It'd be really great if they had like a 32nd pick in the draft too to do it.
John, you tried to lure me into that Tunsil conversation again, and I said I'm not going there with John anymore.
What, man? I just man, listen, I know that's your boy. And he's still paying off for the Texans.
Hey, yeah, look, they're singing his praises over there in Washington as they're over there winning games left and right, baby.
For the Texans, Stan. I know this shit, man.
I have never said Laramie was my guy. I said that I respect Laramie Tunsil, and he's significantly better at what he does than Ariante Arias-Reed is at what he does. Now, that's what I've said.
What we can do is we can tell the people what really goes on in this show. Before the show starts, for those of you watching on YouTube, Stan has a poster that's usually directly behind him. It's Laramie Tunsil. Right before we start the show.
Hey, is your boy Higgins going to the Pro Bowl like y'all told me he was?
No,
we didn't say Pro Bowl, Stan.
I said all pro by year 3. Don't worry.
Y'all told me he was going to the Pro Bowl this year. I was like,
Hey, I will say this. Tied for the most receiving touchdowns on the team. He showed his value this year.
Hey, and you know what?
He's the best red zone threat for Houston.
Credit to him the other night after we did all that talk about him after the last game where he didn't know where he was situationally on the field.
He got to the first.
He got to the first on this one.
He did. So, young player got to be coachable. Young players watching this game. Young athletes, make sure you're coachable. Make adjustments. Get better. Every day you either get better or you get worse. You never stay the same.
Never stay the same. You know what never stays the same? Our parting shots as well. You guys want to go ahead and start reeling those bad boys out?
Let's do it, man.
John?
Don't lose. One thing I don't want to do is come on this doggone show and talk about how this was a trap game for Houston and they fell to the pitfalls and they lost. Make this 6 in a row because there's no other AFC team doing you any favors. Do not lose. And that's it for me.
D'Amico Ryans, good sir. This next month of the season, congratulations, by the way. You held it together. That tells me a lot about what your troops think about you. Because they continue to fight, especially the side of the ball that you have the expertise in. So I want to give you your flowers and tell you, excellent job, sir, continuing to fight, especially with a top 5 schedule in the National Football League and being in that hole to start. But Mr. Ryans, we aren't out of the woods just yet. You see how coaches at the highest level are ultimately rated? It's what do you do in December and January? And we're about to go through this stretch, good sir, where we want to see you. Not just, host home playoff games and go on the road and the one and done the previous 2 years. We'll get to that. But take care of your business and go smack teams that you're supposed to smack. I understand you got to have a healthy respect for teams in the National Football League. But these next 2 weeks, these games should be over before we get to halftime. These games should be done. You should literally take the wheel from that opponent. Give it. Now, Jacoby Brissett has gotten his pound of flesh. I think he's been on the starting quarterback on 3 different teams that have beat the Texans. So Jacoby does not have any fear of what's going on with the Texans. I believe I heard that earlier. Again, I don't have that in front of me, but it's something that I heard earlier this morning.
New England, Indy.
Don't know.
Miami, maybe?
Miami sounds about right. But don't hold me in that. D'Amico, if you want to get considered with the Sean McVays, you went up against him this year. If you want to be considered with the Andy Reeves, you just popped him in his place and got one earlier. Boom. If you want to be considered with Kyle Shanahan, he came to town and you put that boot on him. If you want to be considered with these men, all those men I just named have something you don't have. Man, go take care of your business and go get what you need to do to add to your mantle there at the house. I'm sure it's a very nice home.
Probably is.
By the way, D'Amico love is blind. I just want to throw that out there.
Oh, okay. Juka's been on a team that is, I don't know, I can't get the exact, I'd have to go through and run through it, but he's been on a team that has opposed the Texans 9 times. His team's record is 8-1. And when he's played, he's thrown 8 touchdowns and 2 picks. And it's a different Texans team. Let's just hope that is that. I will give my parting shot as this. The Texans, I brought up the question earlier, what's going to happen if they went 4-0 the rest of the way? If they go 4-0 the rest of the way, mark my words right now, this football team will not lose a game again until August of 2026 in the preseason against some slappy. So just go ahead and mark it down right now.
9 in a row in the regular season. They have to play the first round, so they got to win 4 games to win the Super Bowl. Wild card, division, conference championship, and Super Bowl. So that'd be 13 games in a row to close out the season. Woo!
Told you guys.
If that happens, MC, we're gonna take real shots.
I don't take shots, but I'll take one for you for that one.
We'll do that.
Absolutely.
You know what I love? Just I don't know how often you guys. I know we gotta leave, but I don't know how often you guys are outside and just moving around in the city of Houston. But you know what I love? When I get stopped and I get recognized. And right now with the Houston Texans on this 5-game win streak, I love when people walk up to me and say, "Hey, I know you seen them Texans. Talk good about us."
Look at John just throwing out that he gets recognized.
Yeah, I do.
Hey.
I'm a local celebrity.
I do love the streets of H-Town. Yeah, I do love the streets of H-Town. All respect for the folks that make this the best city in America, man. Ain't nothing like H-Town. They know what time it is.
Say it again.
I think people don't mess with me in public because I got RFB or RBF going on when I'm out in public. Y'all. Yeah, I'm a nice guy. I just got a look on my face sometimes when I'm walking around. Because if you find me in a place that's in public, like a grocery store, I'm mad on the inside because nobody knows how to walk, like they don't know how to drive.
I agree.
Just
pick your side of the aisle and stay on it, man.
Yeah, it's just like a roadway and move, please. All right, guys. Sunday, they're going to play the Cardinals. We'll be here after the game ends, breaking it all down. What will be another win for this football team? Between now and then, everybody have a safe few days. We'll talk to you all Sunday after Texans and Cardinals. Locked on Texans Squad Show.